listening to the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you travel the world at next to no cost with credit card points, miles, benefits, and rewards. Make money, save money, and take advantage of great deals. Thanks for joining me for podcast episode 74, Scaling Up Credit with Marc Konchinsky. Before today's discussion, a quick show note. I host monthly in-person meetups in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania with the group Greater Philadelphia Travel, Credit, Miles, and Points. The next meetup, this month with special guest speaker Taylor Thomas, is scheduled March 19th, 2023. I hope to see you there. Find more information at meetup.com/Philly Miles and Points. Find a link in the show notes. Today's show guest, Marc Konchinsky, returns to the podcast to talk about how he's been leveling up with travel, credit, points, and miles since his previous appearance. We'll talk about reselling, gift cards, creative ways to reach credit card minimum spend requirements, and offer suggestions to people starting with miles and points. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the show. You were last on in November of 2020. Time flies. We mostly chatted about hotel co-branded credit cards, and I encourage you to do more with credit and deals following that show in 2020. So now we're today recording in March of 2023. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, so what's been going on in the years between then and now?
Been adding a few more cards, doing some more of the gift card reselling and creative spending, and accumulating a lot of points, which I need to redeem at some point, but we're definitely adding to our backstock of points.
Oh, yes, building the war chest for sure. I think one of the biggest changes was your giant gas points. We're both in Pennsylvania here, and we've been getting a lot of rewards through Giant. So you've been able to fill a lot more gas since 2020.
Yes, definitely ramped up the gas for both myself and my girlfriend and our travels, and definitely dramatically increased the amount of free gas we're getting.
Yeah, or very low cost in some cases.
Yeah, that's long and short of it. It's not so much free, but it's severely discounted.
Right. And we had a little bit of a scare at the beginning of 2023 or the end of 2022 as we didn't see promotions for a while, but now we're back. We're recording today and They're giving bonus points on Home Depot gift cards, which is quite the deal.
Absolutely. Very lucrative after a 9-week spell.
Yeah,
the age of darkness.
Oh, yes. We've avoided the war on happiness this time around.
But I almost doubled the amount of free gas or discounted gas, however you want to see it. I almost doubled the amount I tracked last year versus any other year.
Oh, very good. Yes, and you're still working full-time at a car dealership. So even though you're working full-time, you're able to do all the fun stuff that we talked about and we'll talk about in this episode.
Yes. I find it's easier to get the points than it is to find the time off to go enjoy using the points. So it's that whole work-life balance.
Yep. So talk about some of the cards that you got recently.
I got the Chase Ink Unlimited business card that I had, the Ink Preferred and the Ink Cash, but got the Unlimited to go along with it. U.S. Bank Triple Cash, and also the Amex Business Platinum, which is what I'm working on right now. Amex Business Gold and the Amex Green business as well. What a laughable card that is, but it is
a nice sign-up bonus anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's a okay sign-up bonus for the amount of spend you have to do, but it's a total garbage card as far as
yeah, we'll take what we can get. You're not quite at the plum card yet, but I think that time will come.
No. Yep, that's still a little scary as far as that kind of spend, but at some point, I guess. We'll have to bite the
you'll join the Plum Club eventually.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so some cards. You were in timeout for a while because you applied for a mortgage. So can you explain to listeners that process and the unfortunate time away from credit?
Oh, yeah. They say, all these different advice pages and things say that you should avoid applying for credit like within 6 months of trying to get a mortgage. So I was kind of on hold with that. And until that all became finalized. And then even though you're trying to get approved, just the whole process of not wanting to rock the boat, because that's certainly more important to get everything with the mortgage go smoothly than it is to get some points that you don't necessarily need right this very minute.
Yeah, although some ways around it, you were getting some business cards with American Express because in most cases,
Yes.
after your first card with American Express, future cards are not hard inquiries. So you've been able to get many of the business cards to stay off personal credit that come with soft pulls.
Yes, absolutely.
And how have you been reaching these sign-up bonuses? What have you been doing to get some spend in? Because usually the limiting factor is, oh, maybe I only spend like $1,000 a month and I don't know how to spend 5K, 10K or more or juggle multiple cards.
So split tender with multiple cards to make it not so obvious what you're trying to accomplish. Sure. So like when you go to a grocery store, if you were going to buy a $500 prepaid Visa or MasterCard card, to not pay the whole $505.95, including the activation fee, but to pay some random number like $227.55.
Yes.
On the first card, and then split tender and put the rest of it on a different card. And then you can do that to make it seem a little less obvious is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And also prepaying on various bills. So there are definitely utilities, for instance, that allow you to pay by credit card for a small fee. And then you have to kind of look at it and say, well, is the fee small enough to make it worthwhile just to go ahead and pay it using a credit card, get some of my credit card spend in, and go about your business.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And some of these prepaid cards you're also using for organic spend, some for more creative plays we'll get into. But in some cases, it made sense to use, say, prepaid Visa cards that you got at Staples with the chasing cash for some bills, right?
So I would go ahead and prepay my car insurance, which I can pay via credit card, and just kind of send them $200 in a shot. And then basically when the bill came, it was already paid up.
Yeah, you're getting 5x ultimate rewards on the acquisition of those Visa cards at Staples. And then when they have the fee-free promos, you're able to get them at essentially no cost or negative cost if you include the points that you acquired.
Right. So exactly. So you're earning like 5x UR on everyday spending, not just, things you might buy at Staples.
Yeah, some people are really leaving lots of value on the table if they're just using their checking account or debit cards to make these payments that they're just going to spend anyway. Most people have a car, they're going to be paying insurance. So why not strategically use credit to our advantage here?
Absolutely. And some of the utilities will allow you to pay via debit card at a lower price versus the percentage they want to take for paying by credit card. So by using a debit card, which you're buying at no cost, just doing a little bit more a few more steps, you are avoiding having to pay the higher fee for a credit card.
Yeah, unfortunately, some stores not so friendly about other liquidation methods, maybe like money order, Serve, Bluebird, some of these other things that we've touched on with other guests. So having these abilities to liquidate these prepaid cards is quite good.
Yes.
And some other giant deals. So this is one that we can talk about at length. It's a dead deal, unfortunately, RIP. War on Happiness here. There was one time where Giant was giving 5x choice reward points on Game On gift cards. So this is one of the deals that you did last year.
Absolutely. So you would just get a whole bunch of the Game On cards, liquidate them through video blackjack online, and you could really punch through cards very quickly. Even if you were losing slightly, you're using an apprenticeship guide. Even if you were losing slight, you would still come out ahead because you're liquidating through the cards and getting the spend in. And the free gas and everything kind of comes together.
Yeah, that's the Blackjack Apprenticeship strategy chart is the one that I recommended and the one that I use for play. And most basic strategy charts are pretty close, but I really like the one from blackjackapprenticeship.com.
That's what I've used too, based on your recommendation.
Yeah, and before chatting with me, you weren't involved in gambling at all, as far as I know, or maybe you were just doing some small sports betting. So how was that process, getting into blackjack, learning basic strategy, and using some of these online casino sites here in Pennsylvania?
Learning has been relatively easy because you still have the guide. It's not as the same kind of if you went to an actual live casino in person and were pulling out a strategy guide there, it might seem a bit inappropriate. You might get some funny looks. Mm-hmm. So you can be playing blackjack while watching TV and having the guy right next to you, and nobody knows any different, and nobody thinks anything of it.
Yep. Yeah, and playing at your own pace as well, not having all the distractions of the random drink servers and casino civilians blaming you for hitting and quote unquote stealing their card or ruining the mojo of the table or all these other nonsense things. So I'm, of course, always encouraging responsibility with gambling, playing with an edge, not just donking it away. As I've heard some people say, I had to uninstall the apps because I was in the bathroom and I found myself playing roulette. So we're not doing any of that for sure.
Well, I think that the whole goal of it is to look at the online blackjack as a way of liquidating your cards to go back and get more points, as opposed to a means to an end of making actual money. I never bet high trying to make a quick buck. I just look at it as a way of just running the cards through. And if I come out ahead, I come out behind, it ends up being even in the wash.
Yeah, and it's all about the long run. So, okay, we're giving up a 0.5% house edge usually, but we're getting the credit card rewards on the acquisition of various cards that we're funding these sites with. We're getting the grocery rewards. Maybe we're reaching sign-up bonuses, getting high spend goals. So the edge is fantastic, and it's been really, really steady for maybe 2 or 3 years that we've been doing this so far. Such an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely. But the war on happiness, I do miss all the specials from DraftKings and FanDuel. There were some really, really generous offers there for quite a while, and they've all since basically dried up.
Oh, that's another thing, is that some site bonuses are in place. So usually it's signing up. Hey, we'll give you extra free play. We'll give you some sort of loss rebate if you lose on your initial deposit. But yeah, we were seeing things like, hey, play 1,000 and we'll give you like a bonus 25 or 50 free play. We were seeing some of that recently, but certainly not as much as we used to see. So maybe they got their numbers and they're not being as generous with promos anymore.
Or they realize it's not a valid way to make money and they're just a lost leader.
Yeah, they're trying to get everybody to do bet all these random 8-leg parlays and play the slots online. Of course, I'm never suggesting those things. I always say, hey, there's just a better way to do this. And certainly if you're gambling recreationally, which I also really don't recommend, giving up a significant edge to the house, like you can benefit from funding the site with these prepaid cards, these gift cards, and using new money every time, playing through once and withdrawing it rather than just using the same money over and over again or transferring from your bank account.
Right. Yeah, I'm a bit more cautious at that than you are. I will typically load one card to each of the sites, play through that, wait like a day or so, cash out, and then put a new card in.
Yeah, I'm playing through the Funds 1X as well. There's definitely adverse action if you're just going to deposit and take the money out without playing through it. I've heard data points on that from other people. So usually I'm depositing maybe 3 or 4 cards at this point, waiting a few days, depositing more, and I'll withdraw after my play just to keep easier records of what's unplayed and what's played. And so far it's been pretty good. Yeah, so for people just starting out, I recommend maybe starting with 1 or 2 cards because usually at the beginning, they're going to ask for verification of your payment methods. So keep the cards you use for storage. And
the receipts used to pay for them, because getting called out by the casino is no fun at all.
Yeah, some verification things that happen at some point. Yeah, that's been really nice for us in Pennsylvania and some people in other states, New Jersey, Michigan, perhaps West Virginia, Colorado. There are a lot of opportunities for people to have the online gambling, and you don't even have to live in the state to do it. So if you take a trip to Pennsylvania, if you go to New Jersey, whatever, you can do it as a temporary person in that state.
Just make sure to liquidate before you leave the state.
Yeah, you could withdraw from out of the state, but you can't play through the funds.
Okay, I was not aware.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, very good. So that's been an interesting thing, allowing you to scale up. And you introduced to me something I had no idea about, which was All-State Rewards.
So All-State Rewards is a gift card system that they have a little sales section. They have perfumes and colognes as well. Some various gifts, but the thing that's really worthwhile is the Nike gift cards, which they sell at 10% off, and then you can typically resell them for about 91%, making a small edge, and then another way of liquidating the funds. And then it also appears to be very legitimate to American Express or whatever bank is watching your transactions.
Right. So we're looking at creative ways to spend without really spending. If we can make purchases, get our money back, reselling things. Some people, I do some on eBay as well. I'll sell physical items that I find that I can get a good deal on, or maybe popular items that are limited supply. So I think with most listeners, there's something that people can do to hit these spend goals without sweating it too much.
And the Nike cards, you can usually get about $500 a week worth of cards. Mm-hmm. They arrive in about a week, and then you liquidate them and then buy more and then wait for those to arrive and then liquidate them. So it's a nice little system.
Yeah, and we've sold to several people over time. We're recording in March of 2023, and later this month for the group that I host, Greater Philadelphia Travel, credit miles and points. See the show description, the info at the bottom. For information on that, we're going to have Taylor Thomas come out and talk about gift card reselling, product reselling, and much more. So a lot of people are in that we can sell to and work together to make the dream happen.
Absolutely.
All right. And returning to the online gambling, we've also done some sports betting. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you've been doing to liquidate some of these prepaid cards?
Sure. So there were some very lucrative bets that had very good edges. There was the summertime fall, I should say, the football where it's like up by 7. And then if that team would be up by 7 points, then you would automatically win, even if ultimately they lost the game itself. Yep. To the favored team. So the play was to put your money on the underdog, which would generate more income for you percentage-wise. Mm-hmm. The odds were better in that respect. And there were some definite games. I think there were 4 games that DraftKings had to pay out both sides of the because the one team got 7 or 10, whatever the bet was that week, ahead. And then also they ultimately lost the game to the favored team too. So both sides were paid out.
Yeah. There were some really good opportunities like that. We've also done the odds boost or profit boost. Those come up a decent amount, or at least did come up.
Right. Yep. Those. And then also was the year before we had the no shutout games. Yep. Remember those? So those are pretty lucrative as well.
Yeah. Can you explain that one?
They really was it short odds? That's the correct term for it? Because they weren't long. It was.
I would say that the one team was the mega favorite in that. Yes. Yeah, we wouldn't gain much from the bet on its face, but we're able to play through funds.
So basically, you'd make like $100 bet, and you might win 10 cents.
Yep.
In that respect, but it was so much of a sure thing because the likelihood of somebody that you had been against the fact that like the Lions would shut out like the Bulls, Lions shut out the Bears, for instance, or Lions would shut out the Eagles, etc. So the team would not be able to make that happen. Get your $100 through, you get your 10 cents, and you go about your business, and you just played through $100.
Yeah, very low risk. We've also seen some things like, will Tom Brady throw a touchdown pass at any point during the game? Some prop bets like that were very low risk that would allow us to liquidate some funds, getting all those edges from the credit card, grocery side, and other promotions.
Yes, and then you also were turning everybody on to the betting both sides of the coin.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was even money at that point.
So you would put, let's say $100. I'm just picking a number here. Put $100 on heads being the call, and then go on a different betting site and bet tails for the same $100, and figuring that obviously one of those two bets is going to ring true, and you would lose the first bet, you'd be even money, but have run that $200 in that case through.
Yeah, virtually zero risk unless some things like the bet goes down is at the moment you're placing it on the other side, or the site won't allow you to get the action down on the other side. So there are some little things to be concerned about, but definitely recommend people starting with the lesser amount. Just starting maybe, okay, you see an opportunity like this, maybe just bet $25 or $15 or whatever and see how everything works before just, firing away and betting $1,000 on something and making a mistake or something happens and it doesn't work out for you. Yeah. So you've had a lot of success. You were new to these sites and figuring out these different interfaces or what the odds actually mean. And now you're here today saying, okay, yeah, lots of good stuff happened.
Absolutely.
A little bit of a learning curve, but again, starting small, I think.
Yes. I still have no idea how to bet on tennis. It just makes sense to me at all.
All right, good. And how about some recent trips and redemptions that you've taken with the points, cashback, and more that you've acquired?
So we did a long weekend to Danville, Pennsylvania. I actually live in Pennsylvania. We did a long weekend there. I used some Radisson overnight stays at the Radisson hotels for the RIP, the Radisson Rewards Visa card, which was swapped up by Choice Privileges when Choice bought Radisson as a property. And we did that trip. We did a long weekend into Orlando, which I used another Radisson Rewards hotel night stays, and we did Uber for that trip as well. And that was a lot of fun. Used free flights for that, used points for flights on that one.
Yep.
And then also we flew to Montana to visit some friends and also to go to the Glacier National Park. And I used award flights for that as well. So yeah, I mean, it's and we actually stayed in a hotel in Cape May as well. And I used the Chase portal, even though it was a smaller, it wasn't like a multi-chain hotel, it was just an independent hotel that we stayed at on the beach, but able to use points for that as well.
Yeah, I hear people outside of the hobby talking about, oh, travel's so expensive. Oh, I only do one trip a year, maybe. But here, just using credit responsibly, getting these new cards, you've been able to save a tremendous amount on travel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 2 people going to Montana and back, I mean, that was probably, if I were to actually pay real money for it, it would have probably been about $1,200, I'm guessing, as opposed to, we went out on United and came back on American. Just booked 2 different one-way trips to get the times that we wanted. And no problem at all.
Yeah, the answer is always more credit cards, more rewards, more sign-up bonuses, more everything. Now, one question I get from people outside the hobby, oh, well, how much do you really make? Like, what's your average hourly? So I think it's really missing the greater point. So a question for you, has this been a comfortable side hustle supplementing your work income?
Yes. I mean, I would say, because I don't get to do every deal. I know that you are able to participate because your schedule is a little different than mine. I'm not able to participate in every single sale because I'm obviously busy at work and I can't necessarily do every deal. I just don't have the opportunity. But it definitely is a hobby that you can take at your own pace and put through the amount of effort that you are able to is how you're going to be rewarded. The more effort you put into it, the more rewards you're going to see. But anything is a good starting point.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a little bit slower. Like January is a particularly slow month because all the deals seem to ramp up November, December, and then it just drops off a cliff. So some months, some weeks are busier than others. But on average, would you say maybe a few hours a week?
I don't even know if it's a few hours a week. It might only be maybe an hour and a half a week. And then some weeks, of course, are busier because there's more going on. But I mean, when we have all those when we have all those Amazon deals for gift cards for like Black Friday, that time period, of course, you're much busier.
Yeah, and still having fun with this. I got into this in late 2018, and it's still fun for me trying to figure out the puzzle of how everything works and how to combine certain deals or, oh, how can I use these benefits? And it's been really great. So to make money from a hobby versus other people who are maybe spending lots of money on golf or allegedly fine dining. And here we could just have some of those experiences or save money with whatever else we're doing. Also profiting.
Sure. When you're fitting your world tours in with, visiting friends and family or whatever other errands you have to run that day.
Oh, yeah. I'll be going to a gaming conference in April, MEPACon, MEPA Con, the Mid-Eastern Pennsylvania Gaming Conference. It's something I was doing before the hobby, and I would be shelling out maybe $100, $150 a night at a hotel. So to say, okay, well, look, I have this magic eraser of Hyatt points, and I'll stay at nice accommodations local to the conference. It's a 5-minute drive from the host hotel. And look, I can make some stops on the way and have my own world tour, some deals that are on the way, some promotions that might be going on. And, oh, look, I can use my grocery points and just redeem those for food and snacks during the conference to bring to my room. And hey, look, I just filled up gas using my giant gas points, and just like, well, I was going to do this anyway. So say, okay, well, look, I was going to spend maybe $100, $150 a night at the hotel and just use the magic eraser for the 5 nights, not spend money on gas, not spend money on food, or spend very little on both. It really enhances the experience, and we're not just slumming it away in some random Red Roof Inn or unnamed hotel or Jack's basement or something, right?
Crashing on your friend's couch.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you do to keep organized? That's another criticism. Oh, it sounds like a lot of organization or a lot of work or a lot of things to manage.
It just works out for me, but I keep a spreadsheet. So I actually have one spreadsheet going with both personal and business cards, and I'll go through them like once a week, once every 2 weeks, see where the balances are. I also, from there, track where I am with each different card sign-up bonus. Usually I'm doing that based on the amount of payments I've sent out as opposed to each individual transaction, because that'd be very, intense as far as labor involved. That, and also making sure that they're all paid on time, because that's certainly a good habit to be in. And then also I do separate out each individual purchase for grocery stores on the cards that reward groceries. Mm-hmm. So for like the Chase Freedom Flex, and the Discover quarterly bonuses, those need to be broken out separately because they may not be in the category, but they usually are.
Yeah, we play to win the game. We're wanting to use the right cards in the right places. And it might seem intimidating, like, oh, how do you memorize all these different cards? But I think, okay, you started with maybe 1 card, 2 cards, and you added cards over time. And now it's pretty easy to remember which card to use where, or you just look back at notes.
You can even, whatever works for you. I mean, if putting a sticky note on the card works for you, or getting a label maker, and making actual labels and tearing them off when the quarter changes, whatever works for you. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, I got an email from Staples recently that was a $30 off your next purchase of $30 or more. So I went ahead and just bought these sticky labels that you would see maybe at yard sales, placed on items indicating a price, and I could just stick that right onto a credit card and leave a note for myself on each individual card. So that's something that works for me. Or some people are using pen and paper or journals or whatever works, as long as it works for you and doesn't take too much time. That's pretty good, because I don't want to go on an archaeological dig and start looking through my credit card statements of how much did I spend this month or that month. That doesn't seem to be a great way to do things.
No, it just becomes too disorganized too easily.
Yeah, so I keep contemporaneous logs, really, like, okay, I just finished at the grocery store and I spent maybe $299.33 on this card. So I don't even keep track of the change. I'll just keep track of the $299 and I'll just add it, and then just total everything later, or have the spreadsheet do it for you.
I have the spreadsheet do it for me, so I'll actually go ahead and put the change in, because that way it's all, just the math for me.
Yeah, and a lot of these stores are places that we would also go to anyway. Like at some point, okay, you're going to be buying groceries. So, hey, look, I went to Giant, I got these gift cards, I got groceries as well. So it's not like we're taking some incredible detours to save a small amount. Like, we get the criticism that that's the case, but it certainly isn't.
Sure, and it's always good to have those gift cards for various restaurants. If you're, kind of thinking, well, hey, we're out and about, today, shopping for like kids going back to school or whatever. And we're trying to think about, well, let's go out for dinner. But hey, I have a gift card for Applebee's or whatever, and go there because you have the gift card already bought. So it's not like you're pulling money from the wallet. You bought them as a special.
Yeah, and you're acquiring these gift cards maybe online with like 15-20% off, or they'll be in-store, in-restaurant deals or Giant deals. That's our regional grocery store here.
The Panera deal that they have at Christmas time.
Yeah.
That kind of good stuff.
Yeah, sometimes some small issues in the store to a point where maybe we're training cashiers, or cashiers claim policies exist that really don't. So sometimes a little bit of flack. But I think just being nice to the cashiers and just saying, okay, this is what I'd like to do, starting up conversation with them, being patient, I think are valuable qualities here.
Yes, the managers that like to create their own rules.
Or the employees.
We've all experienced that one.
Yeah, you get something like, oh, I think the maximum that you can buy is just 1 card. And I say, oh, well, according to the flyer, it says that the maximum is $2,000, or Staples, we've heard that. Yes. They're like, oh, well, it says right here that it's limit $1,600 per customer. And, usually they're good to go.
My local Staples will cap you at $1,000 in your prepaid Visa or MasterCards. That's their limit. So.
Yeah.
Rather than making a big fuss, because these are stores you're going to have to go to repeatedly. So you got to pick your battles. And if that means you go back more frequently, but it's not that far out of your way, then you just grin and bear it, come back the next day.
Yeah.
Because these are people are going to see it. They're going to start to recognize you as well.
Yeah, and I'm pretty open with showing my ID and showing my credit card. Sometimes it's humorous. The cashier might ask for your ID but not look at the credit card. It's like, okay, interesting. Or sometimes the cashier will claim that split tender doesn't work, but it actually does. So usually I'll say, oh, well, maybe we could try it and see if the system allows it. You know, like things like that. It's like, oh, I can't believe it worked. Oh, like, I had an idea it would.
I've done it at other stores earlier in the week. So
I was just here yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on my world tour right now, actually. And the last 3 stores were good. I won't tell them that, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes they'll see it as odd because maybe other people aren't doing this kind of stuff. So like larger volume, you know, there's a little bit suspicious about what's going on. You know, we joke sometimes it's all fraud. You know, everybody thinks it's all fraud, but it's like, no, we're just making legitimate purchases here. And yeah, here's my ID, here's my credit card, you know, here's the promo. I'm doing it because of this promo. I'm not just like randomly going in and buying like $5,000 worth of Google Play gift cards for the alleged IRS, right?
Yeah, it's always good to have a backstory kind of ready to go. So like if you're buying $1,000 worth of Apple cards at, you know, the Giant store and they're kind of saying, no one's forcing you to buy these. Say, oh, no, I'm buying them.
Yeah.
And then you'll typically get that's a great idea. Same thing for the Home Depot cards. Mm-hmm. You have a home project you're planning on, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and some of these cards you could use for personal use as well. It's like, okay, well, if you own a home, you're probably going to be going to Lowe's or Home Depot at some point.
So I typically buy a lot of Lowe's for myself because I actually drive past the Lowe's on the way home from work, whereas Home Depot is no big, you know, my nearest Home Depot is easily half an hour away. Yeah,
usually 10% off on the Lowe's gift cards for online deals, or sometimes Giant will run a good promotion on those.
Sure. And all the home supplies and things you need, you know, to get it 10% off, you got to buy at some point.
Yeah, past podcast guest Stephen Pepper from gcgalore.com, GALORE.com, is great for keeping track of all these deals. You know, we're not going through all the random store websites every day. Thanks to Steven and some other people who follow the deals, frequentmiler.com, drcredit.com, many other sites. I just open some tabs in the morning and refresh and see what's going on. And of course, the more lucrative deals, as I'm not taking a 15-minute detour to save 75 cents on mayonnaise, for instance.
Right, exactly.
And then having four jars of mayonnaise expire and, you know.
You love that story.
Yes, some real stuff. People compare us to couponers by saying, no, we're doing a lot more than that. Or, hey, if you are a couponer, you can add some of the things that we're doing and do a lot more and better.
Yeah. I mean, if couponing works for somebody, I don't have a problem with it. It's just that personally, my free time is a bit short in terms of being able to organize coupons, go through them, use them before they expire. And they do seem to expire a lot sooner than they did, you know, even a few years ago. They had a much longer life. And now they just expire very quickly. Yeah,
it's gotten to a point with the grocery rewards that some of the promotions were so good that it's like, okay, well, instead of being restricted to a particular list of items and getting 50 cents off $1 or $2 off this or that, we just go in the store and have our own supermarket sweep with former host David Ruprecht, who my mom used to call Makeup Man. It's like, oh, wow, I have all these grocery rewards, so I can just get anything. Oh, interesting. I could use my points for Chinese food. You went with me to Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, for the wonderful Chinese restaurant there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what was that restaurant called, by the way?
That is the Inn Giant, which you and I always joke about being the name of the restaurant.
Yes, it is.
It's in very large print on the menu.
Yeah, excellent food, made to order, using grocery rewards for Chinese food, I think is really hilarious.
Yes, absolutely. And then the meeting rooms upstairs and whatnot.
Yeah, really great store. So what would you say to people who are negative or on the fence about this hobby?
Well, I think you can start small, start with what makes sense to you. There's even a small step is a way forward. You don't have to jump in. I mean, I have 22 credit cards at this point. I don't think that everyone needs to jump in with 22 credit cards in one shot.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
You start in with one, you go to two, maybe you get up to four, and kind of see where you are. And if maybe four is enough for you and you're just good with that and the points you're getting there, maybe that fifth card, if you're planning a longer trip and, Air Canada might work for your travels, or a Hawaiian card from Barclays, Hawaiian Airlines, might work for you, and pick up another card at that point. But you can definitely, even a few small steps versus just having a lot of folks, you and I have talked, a lot of folks might only have like one credit card and one debit card.
Very sad.
And they're really missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there'll ever be a point where a certain amount of credit cards I have is enough. I'm sporting over 40 now. I've canceled many, keep opening new accounts. So yeah, there are a little bit of time barriers in that, okay, well, we have to wait a certain amount of time between cards with this issuer, or hey, Chase won't approve me if I've signed up for 5 or more personal cards in the past 24 months, for instance, to quickly state that rule. But over time, spacing these out by a few months, depending on the issuer, depending on our long-term strategy, there's a lot more to be had. And for people who aren't traveling often, there are a lot of viable cashback options as well. So I think there's something for everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you got the US Bank Triple Cash, I believe you mentioned earlier on. So that was a really good business card.
It was a very, very lucrative bonus. That's $500 cash back. I think I was spending $4,000 in 3 months, which, for a family is not that challenging.
Yeah.
It's certainly not like spending 10 or 15,000 like some of the American Express cards.
Yep.
In a 3-month time period. So
yeah, and moving into a new house, you had some expenses, so it was perfect to line that up with a new card.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, what was it? The oil delivery, I think, was a bigger one.
For the oil delivery, yes. So I actually have for fuel oil delivered to the house, and they take Visa, MasterCard as payment options. So towards the end of that sign-up bonus, I'm just able to call up the fuel oil company and say, hey, I want to put, $700 in this MasterCard. And they said, sure, no problem. So
yeah,
there's $700 to spend right there, knowing that the next time the oil's delivered, I've prepaid for, most of it at that point. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And I got rear-ended a few years ago in Delaware on the 4th of July, which was an interesting time. I ended up calling the Hilton Diamond line, which I usually don't do, to find a hotel because everything was booked in the app. But they secured me a room. I needed a new car. And I went to you and said, hey, sell me a car. So I was able to use credit for part of that purchase, which was really cool. Something that I'm just going to spend on anyway.
Absolutely.
So a lot of things, just trying to look for opportunities to use credit for expenses we're already doing, and then to scale up, do things a little bit more creatively.
Yes. I mean, even buying things for friends, like if you're at work and everyone's kind of going around and getting money together to pick up lunch at the local deli or somewhere, and then everyone gives you cash, and then you go ahead and pay with a credit card.
Yep. Yeah.
And then there's $50 or $60 or $75 or whatever it is on your credit card just that day.
Yeah, it could add up. Even the little purchases, why not? It's a little bit of effort for you, and then you're a team player of organizing it all and getting the stuff. So pretty good. Yeah, I used to run Chinese food in a previous job I worked for, so that was nice to get the spend in for that once a week. Would pick up orders elsewhere, go to the local grocery store. So yeah, some good opportunities. And how about for people, maybe they have decent credit, maybe they have scores around like 700, 750 or more, maybe the high 600s. They're looking at just starting with this. They're responsible. They're not going to overspend. They're making sure to pay off their balances in full. What would be some options for starter cards?
The first card I recommend would be the Chase Freedom Flex card, which is a 0 annual fee, has a $200 bonus for spending $500 in the first 3 months. Most people will initially look at it as a 5% cash back card, which is fine, but the points are usually more worthwhile when they're used for their ultimate reward points, which you can use for travel. And then they also have a lot of free, uplifted offers to spend, 10% redemption, like 10% cash back if you buy up to $20 or $30 at McDonald's or, CVS, things like that. It's a good no annual fee card to start out with. And then I think from there, the next thing to start out with what might be a hotel card, just because I think that has the easiest redemption in terms of travel cards and being able to see the fruits of your effort, so to speak, right away. So there are both 0 annual fee cards and also ones that have a 95 or 99 or 89 or 75. So somewhere in that, an annual fee. And then usually that will come with an anniversary night, or the ability to earn towards a free night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another nice way to see your efforts. And then it basically makes the $95 or $99 annual free card kind of a to your benefit. It doesn't have an actual cost because you might be paying a $99 annual fee, but you're getting a hotel night that could be easily worth $175, $200 for your hotel stay. So it makes for a nice long weekend. And then also if you have what's called in the game a player 2 who might hold the same card as well, you can combine those nights into having 2 different, long weekends, like a Friday night and Saturday night, for instance.
Yeah, you could combine the reservations because they'll usually be booked separately.
My first advice would be to kind of look at whichever hotel chain has properties where you want to go. You and I both recommended to a mutual friend that he get the Radisson Rewards card, which is great for high spenders.
While it existed.
But
yeah.
Well, the card existed, of course. It was great for high spenders because you very easily could earn, some free night certificates, which you could use at your leisure. But the problem was that we were not taking into account where this friend of ours liked to go on his trips. And there were no Radisson properties nearby. So that was kind of it's a good card, but if the hotel is not there, it's not a good card.
Yeah, although Kalamazoo, Michigan, surely on many bucket lists, and at the time, Atlantic City, of course, a destination of choice. Good Radisson's there, but yeah, the best card I've never had, unfortunately, R.I.P. Radisson once again.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, some of these cards with Marriott, the Bonvoy cards, IHG, World of Hyatt, I think maybe one of the strongest Chase personal cards that one could have, especially if they put in that $15,000 in a calendar year to get the free night certificate there.
Second free night.
Yeah.
You already get a free night. So you get a $95 annual fee, you get an anniversary night, you spend $15,000, you get a second free night. It's great for high spenders who don't necessarily want to be bothered with a bunch of different random categories. And I also like the Barclays Wyndham Rewards Earner Plus card, which is a $75 annual fee. But it basically costs nothing because they give you 7,500 points on your anniversary, which is essentially good for an entry-level night. So if you're getting about $700 annual in points back, $700 worth, and then you can bank that and use that either at a lesser cost property or kind of lump a bunch of them together and spend it on a nicer property. Either way, but they're not telling you must use it that year.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the other annual fee cards have an anniversary night that you use that coming year, locking you into needing to go to that property or else lose a certificate that goes bad.
Yeah.
So the points for the Wyndham card, of course, just stay fresh as long as you have the card.
Yeah, and the Wyndham points are also transferable to Caesars. So this can be a supercharged Caesars credit card in a way that you could use these points with Wyndham, transfer them to Caesars, and use those for hotel stays or dining at Caesars properties as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Wyndham points for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and Barclays is usually good to get in with early because they can be a bit strict if you've opened several accounts in the last 6 months, sometimes 12, or people with really thick files, thick credit files not getting in.
Barclays, and as we're finding out, FNBO is very picky as well. I had wanted to get the Best Western no annual fee card, and they turned me down. So FNBO, First National Bank of Omaha,
Yep.
has the Best Western Rewards card with no annual fee. They also have a premium card, which is $89 annual fee. But if you look at it closely, the $89 annual fee is basically overcomes the extra earning you would get with that card. So you're almost better off with a zero annual fee card. Unless you love Best Western all the time, like for work or something.
Yeah, FNBO, also the issuer of the MGM MasterCard that I covered in the previous episode of the show. So yeah, sometimes these niche banks can be really valuable. I think mistakes that people make is, oh, I flew on Frontier, so therefore I'm going to sign up for the Frontier credit card. Or, oh, well, I've been with this bank for 20 years and they're giving me a $25 sign up bonus. Or, oh, I shop at Costco and I can get a bucket if I sign up for a credit card. So we're being smarter consumers and looking at the wider array of available offers.
And one thing we're also waiting for is to see what Wells Fargo might offer for a sign-up bonus on the Choice Rewards card, because the Radisson card was bought up by Choice Privileges Hotel Group, and they spun off from Barclays, spun off the Choice Rewards credit card to Wells Fargo. They'll have a sign-up bonus at some point. We just don't know what it will be. So.
Yeah, hopefully so. As there's some interesting, you have here 3X gas, grocery stores, home improvement. So, of course, we can go to Lowe's and buy some DraftKings gift cards. You know, I saw a poker dealer at Lowe's and say, hey, what were you doing at Lowe's? And I said, oh, buying gift cards. That's what I usually do. I'm not going to Lowe's for products. Are you kidding me? So run into some people in the wild like, oh, I saw you at Walmart the other day. Were you shopping there? I'm like, no, not really. I was just there to get a money order. Right. We live a pretty interesting lives, different than the regular consumers, or as a Gambling with an Edge podcast, the civilians. So we're encouraging people to level up and get a lot more out of their spending and take advantage of credit.
But it is another way to get things that are fresh or not things things you forget at the grocery store. You're popping back in for gift cards, and you might pick up some strawberries, that kind of things. You're not going there just for gift cards necessarily.
Maybe like 95% of the time it's gift cards.
Yeah. Okay.
Except for other days where it's like a specific grocery run, or sometimes it'll be combined. I must say I have so much printer paper at home from the past Game On promo. I'm good on printer paper for a while, and you can find some interesting things at the grocery store. So what are you going to do with all these grocery points, Justin? Well, I'll tell you, I got a lot of office supplies, a lot of Cliff Bars here. Oh, I'm way good. Way good.
T-shirts and hats and jackets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My Golden Bears, local sports team that I never knew about. Always good. Yes.
Right.
So it's been a lot of fun in the hobby. That's one thing for
Usually
sure.
the freezer section of Giant, they have a rack, hats and T-shirts and jackets even. I think it's some umbrellas too, maybe. But they're for the local sports teams, whatever local high school.
Yep.
And then,
that's the Bears.
Of course, Justin will cash in his points, not just for groceries, but for T-shirts and hats and stuff.
Yeah, some people are skeptical too of, you eat sushi at Giant? I would never eat grocery store sushi. It's like, hey, those chefs are there in the afternoon. It's freshly made. You can request the healthy roll, also known as the avocado cucumber roll. They'll make it right in front. It'll be great. If you want sesame seeds, sir, yes, I will take the sesame seeds. Yeah, and one thing that's strange is I got into this hobby. I saw all the value, and I thought, oh, well, I would tell some people I know about this. They'd be enthusiastic too. But unfortunately, some people in real life don't want to play the game.
Some people you tell them you got a new credit card, not boasting, of course, but just making conversation. And they're like, oh my goodness, I would never do that. They're also the ones that are sitting next to you on the airplane. They paid full price for their tickets. And meanwhile, we're using points.
Yeah, or I've heard, oh, well, I signed up for an American Express Platinum card and I get one flight a year.
Yes, and then we're taking multiple trips and multiple flights.
Yeah, and a lot of different benefits. It's really upgraded the travel experiences as you've gotten some benefits as well, like the airport lounges.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The Priority Pass at Orlando, at ORD, and also the Centurion Lounge in Philadelphia. They're there, too.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to, free food, free drink, and a nice quiet place to relax.
Yeah, and some hotel room upgrades, airline seat upgrades, random credits with Dell and some other businesses that have been pretty good.
Absolutely. And then also free baggage, too. You didn't mention that.
Oh, yeah, the free check bags for sure, yep.
Sure. Everyone else is paying $35 per bag per direction. and you have that credit card for that airline, your bag is flying for free.
You and the bags.
You and the bags. Hopefully they both arrive at the same airport at the same time.
Yeah. And you have a semi-player 2 or a player 2. So how has that gone?
She's still skeptical. I mean, she's happy to help me make different spend goals and things like that. Having an understanding spouse or significant other that kind of understands the hobby and knows that you're putting everything on credit card, but you're not trying to break the household budget, and that that's some money you'd be spending as well, or you're getting reimbursed through the resale of the gift cards.
Yeah.
Either way, but that you're not increasing the debt of the family.
Correct. Yeah. Some people have an idea, I only use credit in case of emergency, or, I only use credit when I need it. We say, no, let's just use it for everything we can and be careful about the spending that we're doing. We're not just going out and buying random plasma TVs or whatever arbitrary high price items just because we can.
You need to use your credit as the same way you use cash, to know, not getting ahead of yourself, not overspending. I can buy that fancy designer outfit because I can use a credit card. No, you have to pay the credit card back. So you still spend the same way as if you're using actual cash in your pocket.
Yeah, the haters out there, including Dave Ramsey. I had an episode on him before. Dave Ramsey misses the point. He's saying all credit is bad, never use credit. I want a 0 credit score. And it's just really tragic. Instead of teaching people responsibility, instead of saying, hey, be smart about credit, be smart about your purchases, he's just lamenting it all as ruin and you're wasting your time. If you think you're winning, you're really not. So it's this weird, false consciousness idea where we're saying, hey, we actually are winning and I've paid everything off. I'm not paying interest. I'm not paying unnecessary fees. We're being smart about it. That's what we're doing.
Right. I mean, the free flights to Montana, et cetera, your free flights to Las Vegas.
Yep.
Would certainly prove otherwise to Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, and maybe there are some people who genuinely can't control it, that it's not for them. Say, a person says, I don't go to the bar because if I did, then I would drink and I would drink too much and I've tried it again and again and I can't do it. It's great. So if you can't handle credit, don't play credit. But to write off all credit as either a waste of time or ruin is just really irresponsible of Ramsey.
Yes.
Yeah, and out of touch in many ways, where he's encouraging people to have a 0 credit score. But does that really make sense for people who are trying to get a decent used car, a house, maybe even a hotel? This one clip I shared with you recently, can you explain that to the audience about the worker who was reluctant to sign up for a credit card for work reimbursements?
So the work reimbursements, that she had to travel, I believe it was twice a year.
Yep.
And she was lamenting the fact they were telling her to get a credit card in her name, and then she could put her travel expenses on that credit card,
yep,
turn in the expense sheet, and they would reimburse her with a check.
Yep.
And she was just freaking out because she never had a credit card at all, and she didn't know what to do. So they were actually advising her to get paid in cash in advance, which I don't think that would really work, but to get paid in cash in advance, because there's also the problem of breakage where you could lose that cash, or suppose something happened to it, or things didn't go as planned. You had to make alternate arrangements, and you're stuck out. Let's say you flew to Texas, and you had to take a different flight back, so you need to put on the credit card, and all you have is a certain amount of cash. That can be a definite problem where you're stuck wherever you are trying to get money wired to you.
Yeah, the caller didn't talk too much about the background, so maybe she's had a bad history of credit. That's the Ramsey advocate out there. Okay. But yeah, this business of we're going to have to make all these dramatic changes just to use cash for everything when it's not even realistic in many cases. And boy, wouldn't it be great to just take all this work travel and get reimbursed to easily hit sign-up bonuses?
Absolutely.
and you've done some of that too.
The dream that we all have is that you have this random spend, because if she had the appropriate credit cards, she would be earning points without having to do any spend or work, so to speak, on her own, and she would just reap the benefits and be able to go back, use those points, and get free vacation stays or free flights or whatever it is that she wanted to do with her vacation.
Yeah, even at cashback, if she were to take $500, $600 for a credit card, she's easily leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, assuming these work trips were a common thing, or she could just put her own expenses on. And if it's so bad to the point where, oh, well, I don't want to use it, it's like, all right, well, how about you put it in a safe and only use it for the work expenses and take it with you, or like other things that you can do to just have more control over this thing. But Dave Ramsey's like, you're going to spend more than you think. But I just don't think this is a story for everyone. Maybe that caller in particular had a bad history of credit or can't handle it. But I think, like, can you be an adult at some point? Like, if you have cash, is it burning a hole in your pocket that you're going to spend that too? Like, if it's going to be so helpless with credit, is it going to be helpless with other things too? Like, how are people living? These Ramsey callers, it's very interesting. And even the video title was misleading because it was something like, work is forcing me to have a credit card, or it's like, no, nobody was forcing you. They suggested that you do it. And I'm sure there could be some alternate arrangements, but that would be great to have these work reimbursed expenses. Like past podcast guest Beth talks about traveling to different countries for her job, and they'll reimburse her for her expenses. So yeah, that'd be nice. Not as many shenanigans that we're doing to generate the spend. Just have it taken care of. Yeah. And some people in this hobby might already have businesses. They might already have travel. So I think it's a much easier entry point for them rather than, oh, how am I going to spend X amount of money in X amount of months? Yeah. You even were able to get some business cards, and you're not running some multi-million-dollar corporation with 1,000 employees.
I have a very small LLC, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to have to generate any kind of income. They don't really, no one asks to see like all kinds of receipts and business reports and things like that. So
yeah, even at a small level.
Exactly. Have a very modest income from the business and just put that down on the application. And then they pull that plus your credit report, your personal credit report, and basically get approved for the card.
Yeah, pretty easy to go. Some people go the sole proprietor route. I usually don't recommend that because they run into walls with banks maybe asking for documentation in some cases. But the LLC, at least for me, when I did it a few years ago, it was a small state filing fee of maybe $175. They sent me articles of organization. I got my free EIN after that. Don't say EIN number, by the way. People like saying EIN number or PIN number, but the N stands for something, of course. So yeah, it wasn't too much of a process. This, of course, isn't tax advice, consult your tax advisor, but very low cost for starting a business and just being able to have kind of business and personal side to credit.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Any upcoming travel plans?
So we're looking at doing like a long weekend out to the Chicago area. Apparently there's some dunes by the Great Lakes. We're going to do that over the summer. And also looking at a cruise that we're taking this fall. So
hopefully Atlantic City in coming months, so you could get your free cruise with the ocean status match.
Right. And the various apps that you have download for My Vegas, and also for the win slots with the auto player and auto spin
to win.
Yes. You don't even have to play the game like in person. You can leave for work and the game is still playing, and it's still playing when you get back from work. And
yeah, stay tuned for another My Vegas video, by the way. That should be after this episode on my YouTube channel at Hurdy Gurdy Travel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're so dedicated to the My Vegas games, you haven't even redeemed any rewards, but you've been accumulating the loyalty points and you're ready to go once you get to Vegas AC or other MGM destinations.
Oh, to the point where I actually have a second account on some other unused electronic devices, like old tablets, and I actually have a second whole account set up for my girlfriend, and she's also doing quite well, earning points, even though she's had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, she just needs to exist, right? It's
right. So it just we can actually have quite a nice stay in Atlantic City or in Vegas at some point in the future. We'll get it together.
Yep. And you got some recent cards.
So the American Express Business Platinum is a relatively recent addition. And also I had just finished the Business Gold. I'm actually looking at next getting one of the cards from United for Business for the free bag and the United Lounge passes that it gives you. So
yeah, and the big welcome offer on that too.
Yes, yeah, nice little welcome offer. It's all about the welcome offer, isn't it?
Yeah, a big part of it.
Exactly.
Business Platinum was a little bit bigger than you normally get. That was at a $15,000 spend goal. But after learning some of these other tricks and timing things strategically, $15K, not so much of a big ask anymore.
I'm maybe 3 weeks into having the card, and I'm probably a quarter of the way through it. So we're getting there. It's kind of a slog, but we're getting there.
Yeah, for sure. So you've definitely been able to scale up in many ways, have some fun doing it, and looking forward to some upcoming travels.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it definitely becomes less of a concern. I mean, when you start out with these different cards, you're doing 1,000 or doing 3,000 rather in 3 months is definitely a concern, but the more you get into the hobby, the easier it is to find creative ways to make that spend happen. And now even doing 10,000 in 3 months is not too difficult. So still a concern, something to watch closely. But
yeah, and we have our regional grocery stores, Giant, Weiss, Redner's, some other places that can be really helpful. So for listeners outside of the Pennsylvania area, maybe some stores they have in their area, Safeway, Kroger, many other brands. Lots of opportunity if you go looking.
Yes.
Yeah, and even our favorite gas station, Speedway, a lot of the Speedway gas stations sell gift cards. Sometimes we get unlucky. We reach the Speedway Hut. What past podcast guest Darren Remsburg might have originated as the Speedway that doesn't sell gift cards, but the ones with the storefront can be pretty good.
And again, then you have the problem of certain managers having the wrong rules, credit cards to pay for gift cards and whatnot. So
yeah,
your mileage may vary.
Yeah. Unfortunate in some cases, the war on happiness strikes, but sometimes you find some gems. Yeah. Sometimes employees are more loose compared to others, so we get the ups and the downs of it all.
Absolutely.
All right. Any closing thoughts for people new to the game or people looking to scale up? Any words of advice, encouragement?
Start small. Start with adding 1 or 2 cards, maybe adding like 2 cards over the course of a year. See how that plays out for you, and then you can kind of adjust your spend and adjust your application habits as time and your efforts allow, and you start to see more rewards. You might find more time and more effort to go even faster.
Good. Yeah, and we're keeping an eye on the current deals, offers, rules, all of that. So don't just go randomly applying for things because, you went to Sephora. Let's get the Sephora credit card. I always shop there. Or the, what was it? The luxury MasterCard, that piece of trash.
Oh, God, yes. Yes, absolutely. Don't get a card because it's cool or because, they're going to give you 10% off at the checkout because you apply for the card. Give it some thought as to what cards you want to go after, because there are limits. So some of these banks, Chase, for instance, FNBO, Bank of America, I believe, is also this way, and also Barclays, which are really more conservative in terms of how many cards allow you to have in a short period of time, or how many inquiries. So make each inquiry, each new card count.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just randomly apply.
Yep. Yeah. Patient, strategic, deliberate. All these things are really good. And listeners can reach out to you if they have any questions. They want to follow up on some things you mentioned. So what are some ways that people can get in touch with you?
I have Facebook. Yes, I have Facebook. So. All
right. And if you could spell your name for listeners.
Oh, sure. So it's Marc Konchinsky. So it's MarcKonchinsky. So I'm on Facebook. So,
yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look in the show notes. And for people in the Pennsylvania area or travelers to the area, we'll be at meetings for Greater Philadelphia Travel, credit miles, and points to talk more in depth about things we're mentioning here.
In depth and in person.
Yes, in Giant too.
Yes.
all the ins and outs. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. And anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that about covers it. Yeah.
Selling any more cars?
Thanks for having me on. Yes, we're starting to get more cars in, which is great. And then, busy at work and selling more cars, which is kind of because you have them available. So, absolutely.
And it was recently rebranded. Your dealership has a new name now?
Yes, so it's Miracle Buick GMC Cadillac of Kutztown. It used to be Kutztown Auto.
Ooh, a longer name.
Yeah, well, we don't want to say all of it. You can say like Miracle of Kutztown.
And how do you spell that?
Miracle is Miracle, of Kutztown. So right now our website's still Kutztown Auto. We're between Reading and Allentown on the southeastern side of Pennsylvania.
And Kutztown, how do you spell that for listeners?
I'm sorry. So K-U-T like Tom, Z like zebra, town, auto, AUTO.com.
All right. Very good. Any other closing thoughts?
I would just say, starting small, keep your wits about you. Don't get in over your head. I mean, don't apply for cards you willy-nilly. Just kind of try to continually apply, and also gain new cards, and then kind of look at where your spending is and what rewards you see and kind of go for those and use your head. It's like a chess game.
All right. Very good. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for future episodes. Visit hurdygurdytravel.com to contact me, find me on social media, read episode transcripts, and schedule a free consultation. Support the show through Subscribestar, referral links, and buying from my eBay store. Find the show on many podcast platforms and YouTube, where you can find bonus episodes. Supporting me on Subscribestar will give you special perks, including a custom podcast episode, questions answered by upcoming guests, and monthly private one-on-one conversations delving into more advanced topics I don't openly discuss at length in podcast episodes. Visit meetup.com/Philly Miles and Points to learn about Greater Philadelphia travel, credit miles and points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. I hope to see you in person at a future event. Find a link in the show notes. Listen to my other podcast, the Stoic Solutions Podcast, found at stoicsolutionspodcast.com. My podcast guests and I offer practical wisdom for everyday life inspired by the ancient tradition of Stoic philosophy from Greece and Rome. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.